Welcome to a weekly catch-up out and about with Trev. I've been doing some exciting stuff over the last, 2-3 months. If I go back to the 4th of August, which was when my last assessment, she's there on my mind. If I go back to the 4th of August for the last episode, which was episode 52, I was planning a snow trip. I was also focused on my final assessments. There we go, they're there. And I was trying to find somewhere to do an internship. I had to do like 80 to 100 hours somewhere. I was trying to lock that down. I just completed, a month earlier, I completed my last full assessment at uni. So that was pretty exciting. Done some exciting classes there and learned a lot, not least of all in the subject visual effects, where we did stuff like the green screen, as well as adding in different visual components using After Effects, things like that. So that was great. I was trying to, in that last episode, I was saying how I had some content I wanted to roll out in future episodes. Obviously, I haven't done that. Not just because I'm lazy, I've just been absolutely flat out. And I've been working on some exciting projects, like I said. So I also had previously launched my crowdfunding campaign, and we'll get into where that's at. But I've done some cool stuff. If we look at the following week after that episode, I was actually in the snow. I went up to JB Plain, and I've rolled this into a package. It's up on my other playlist about my plans to do the Australian Alpine Walking Track in 2020. And that was a cool trip. Got out there, had a really good hit out with my new tent. Got to see it in a lot of snow, had a lot of snowfall on it. Was very impressed with how it works and what have you. Made spending the $700 sort of feel a bit better. It really does a great job and handles wind and things like that just brilliant. I would have to say it's the best tent I've ever owned, so there we go. It's also the most expensive tent, so there's that as well. So that was exciting. I only had a few days, I had 6 days up there. I didn't go and do as much actual hiking. I hadn't been on snow since 2015 when I'd done this. And this is a night hike across from Mount Hotham Village up over the top to Diamantina Hut, and that was exciting and fun, but I hadn't been on snow since 2015, so I sort of wanted to get in and just sort of ease into it and not try to push myself too hard. As I get older, I find that to be important, but I loved it. It was great. I was up there with all the gear and camped. I ran into some kids, guys and girls from the Alpine School who were out doing some camping as well, which was awesome. And then after I come back from that, I sort of wasn't happy with just that trip. If that was going to be my only snow trip, I could live with it, but I wanted to do something more. And for a long time, I've wanted to hike across this. This is the Razorback that goes from Mount Hotham across to Mount Feathertop. And I've done it like in summertime, heaps of times, but I wanted to do it when there's a lot of snow, and there was a lot of snow this year, so like lots. So a month after the JB Plain trip, I actually headed up. I've got all the footage. I'm starting to put this together. That's going to be my episode 5 in my plans to do the Australian Alpine Walking Track in 2020. So that is coming very soon. I've started putting it together. Anyone that does video productions, I'm sure you understand that it takes hours and hours and hours to put this stuff together. So I'm just saying that. But so they were my 2 big trips, and it was great. The Razorback trip was awesome, knocked me around. For the snow conditions, it turned out my snowshoes were out of their depth. I've probably got to look at better snowshoes, something like the MSRs, something like that. There were other people up there with these sorts of things, and they were not having any of the problems I was having. So that was interesting. When I say the particular snow conditions that I encountered, there was probably a metre of it, half a metre in places. It was icy, and I was traversing, so I was going on an edge. So my snowshoes are more designed for powder snow, whereas some of the other stuff is designed for that better. So that's just something to look at. But it was an exciting trip, loved it. Camped in some absolutely specky spots. I mean, this spot here is amazing, and this spot's probably not bad as well. So I really had a great time, and that's going to be rolled up. I've got a whole package there. So just to catch up on, I've done some cool stuff. I worked on a web episode. I think it's 12 episodes for a web series that's going to be released on the internet. That's called the O Files, and I got asked to do some of the camera work for that. They've also had other people doing camera work because I wasn't available every day. So that's been exciting too. And I've got to say, day one, the director asked me for a particular setting on my camera. I've owned my camera for 2 years and I hadn't actually adjusted it. And it was a manual setting that she particularly wanted. And I thought that was interesting as well. You know, you own a camera for 2 years and then you're still finding out something new about it. So that was great. It was specifically to do with running the camera in cinematic mode, where you've got all sorts of controls over contrast, which was specifically what she was asking for. She wanted the contrast setting changed. As well, you can change, there's different filters you can put in and things like that. So that was exciting, and I think that was very much to match my camera to another camera so that the shots were the same. And that was something that as a small operator you don't encounter very often. Normally you just film everything on your camera. Well, when you've got to work in a more collaborative environment, you've got to match what you're filming to what other people are doing. So I thought that was interesting, and I got a lot from that. At the same time, I answered an ad on Star Now to be an extra in a movie production. Turned out to be the next instalment of Crocodile Dundee, and it's called The Very Excellent Mr. Dundee, and it's going to be released at the end of next year. I got this shot on set, so this was pretty cool. It's taken by one of the other extras. I quite like it. I'm now using it on my Facebook and social media stuff, so that's pretty cool. I found this to be an absolutely invaluable exercise. I was there for 3 days. I'll say 3 days. Really, it was a night and 2 afternoons. But it was just exciting to see how the big guys work. It was refreshing to see how organised they are. That's how I like to run things. And it was nice to just be immersed in that environment for a couple of days. It was fun. And I got a lot out of it. I also got a lot out of seeing how we had one set that they filmed, which was in a cinema. And they had the crowd, all the extras with the crowd sort of moving forward and dancing around and things like that. It was pretty weird. But it was interesting to listen to how the director and the assistant director and the camera guys, so there were 2 cameras, the assistant camera people who do the clapperboard, listening to how they all talked and the order of operation of things and what had to fall into place and everything. So we were able to pull some of that out into the O-Files project and how I engaged with the director. So that was interesting, and it was just some methodologies we could apply to be a little bit more professional, I think, and that helps. So I got a lot out of it. So that was great. So we've done a few days with the O-Files. I've done 3 days with the Dundee people, and all very exciting. The other things I've had is my last couple of assessments for uni. I blew some of the assessments. I'm still pissed off that my full-time uni course, the last class, basically became an online course. If I wanted to do an online course, I would have done that from the start. So it absolutely annoyed the heck out of me that I'm going in debt an extra $3,500 for an online course. I think we should have at least had to go in for a couple of days. I think we should have at least, the guy running the coordinator is also trying to run this class. I think that doesn't work. I think they need someone to run the class. I think we needed to go in and talk. I was confused about, there were modules we had to do. I was confused. I sent emails. I didn't get responses. You know, treated like a fool. And when I finally got my head around it, which took longer than I expected, it turned out that I was submitting way late. Doesn't matter. So I might have blown that. The last assessment that I had to put up, which was only done in the last 48 hours, was to put together a showreel. They wanted some online portfolio thing. They wanted us to upload our resume. I looked. I'm not exactly sure where we've just lost the light. So here we go. Here's the perils of when you're filming with, I've lost one light. You can probably hardly see me. I've got another one flashing. This guy over here is probably going to start flashing. What I'll do is I'll charge up my lights and I'll come back. So you may remember that 2 years ago, I travelled up as a member of the Peer Education Support Program, volunteering with the Council of Homeless Persons. I'm still doing work with them. It's great. It's important. We do some important stuff, and we've got to keep pushing because so much of society just doesn't give a rat's. So we've got to keep pushing that, you know, there's too many people that are homeless, there's too many people on the streets, there's too many people that are doing it tough, and there just aren't enough houses. We've had some recent media releases by the government saying they want to build 1,000 houses every year or something like that. That's still not going to fix the problem. It's a step in the right direction. It'll make a huge difference, but it's still not. It's not all the answers. So to get everybody off the street, we need the government to pour more money into it. We need the corporate world to get involved. We need to make sure that the right housing is being built, but also we've got to lock off that housing and keep it safe from foreign investment. I'm not having a go at people that want to invest in the country, and I'm not having a go on multiculturalism, but we need to secure that some of the housing for the people here in Australia that need it. We can't just keep flogging everything off to the rich foreign investors, because some of them don't want to put people in the houses. They just want to leave them empty, and then down the line they get to sell them as a new house. And I think that's an outdated ideological viewpoint in today's environment. I think it's outdated. I think it's arrogant, given that there's over 100,000 people that are homeless, and the majority of them would dearly love to be in a house of some form, flat, apartment, shared house, like something. And we've got huge swathes of property that's been gobbled up, and there's no one in them. So, or they, you know, like even some of the holiday stuff's ridiculous. You got people that are in them for 3 weeks of the year. Well, that's bullshit. Anyway, but we need to get everybody involved. We've got a state election coming up, so they're saying all sorts of things. It'll be interesting to see what comes out the back end of that. I've recently done some work with a couple of the politicians, doing some filming work, which has been exciting, and I love that. So anyway, to swing it back, I'm still doing stuff with the Council of Homeless Persons, which is awesome. And next Wednesday, we're heading back up to Echuca. You may remember this episode from 2016, where I travelled up to Echuca, part of the Victorian Indigenous Statewide Homelessness Network Conference. Did some filming, did some quick interview with Dan. Also did a cracking interview with Jason Russell, who's another member of the Peer Education Support Program. We're now graduates. There's a whole new team that are in place, but some of us are still involved, which is great. And it was awesome to do that last time. I've been in touch with Dan Laws over the last couple of weeks and said, hey, I'd love to come and do some more filming, see what we can get. We did go to Halls Gap last year. I wasn't allowed to film in some of the places, and I had to respect that. That's just the way it goes when you're doing this sort of stuff. I also had some issues with an interview, and something went wrong. I had a cable issue or something. Anyway, I didn't get the right audio. What can you do? So we're hoping to fix all that, do it better this time. I'm certainly better at my job. 12 months down the track, I've done a lot more of this sort of stuff. So we'll see what we get. So that's next week, and I should have that up in the next couple of weeks. Looking at putting some other episodes up. I'm going to do a wrap-up of all of the weekly catch-ups, my favourite episodes, the fun ones, which were the most important episodes that featured the really important subjects, which we got all the No Homeless Ban stuff, which I featured, the stuff I did at Bendigo Street, which was interesting. Now they're saying, now there's major calls that we should continue and build the East-West link. Well, you know, it's pretty strange the way they've handled all that, and they'll have to kick out a whole new people if they want to do it now. Like it's crazy. Anyway, because a lot of those houses have been rented out in private rental because let's make a heap of money. They could have housed so many of the homeless, even if it was for 4 or 5 years. I mean, it could have made a huge difference in people's lives. But anyway, so that's about it. My main battery on my camera is about to die. I've got 3 minutes left, so I better wrap this up. I really appreciate everyone that comes past, looks at my episodes. I try to get them up. You've got no idea how long it takes to put these things together. Anybody that does video production will tell you. The organising is one thing, the filming's another thing, but the back-end editing is what takes all the time. It really does. But I'm going to jump into the kitchen. Tonight I'm going to cook a cracking meal of crumb snags and some roast veggies. I might do mashed potato tonight. But I'm going to jump in and do that. So I did roast chicken recently. Here's a shot of that. That came up brilliant. I love cooking. I love part of what I love about cooking is I get to crank the stereo up. It's part of what the housemates don't like. They hate that I run my stereo when I'm cooking. I don't know how many other people love having the stereo cranked up, or the iPod dock, or whatever you listen to. I love my stereo. I just love it. Put on some good tunes, cook up in the kitchen. Yeah, that works. And on a Sunday when it's basically my day off, it's a great way to end the weekend. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you another time.